Over the last couple of years, I've gone to hundreds of sports card shows, walking, selling, buying, trading, setting up, and I've learned a ton over that time. And today we're going to be talking about how to set up at card shows, tips that I've taken from other dealers, tips that I've learned across the way. Let's get into it right now. If this is your first time setting up at a show, great to have you here. Hope you enjoy sports cards. Hope you enjoy going to your first show and hope you learn something from this. If this is not your first show and you've been to a couple shows, I'm hopeful that you could take a couple tips out of this and learn a couple things. I'm not saying that it's going to take your business to $1 million business, no, but I'm thinking that maybe you could pull a couple things out of here that maybe you don't already consider. And I really would appreciate it if you guys could leave a like, subscribe, share this to another valued collector that may be setting up at a show for their first time in the near future. I really would appreciate that. Let's get into the video. The number one piece of equipment that I would suggest going into shows is a showcase. If you plan on selling cards that are over $20, I usually, at least when I started, putting those cards in my showcase. Now I don't really do the whole $20 to $30 cards in my showcase. It's mainly stuff $50 to $1,000, sometimes a little bit more. When you're starting off, you may want to put those $20 cards in your showcase, put them in a mag, put them in something that makes them a little bit nicer. And I really suggest the showcase because when you're walking around a show and someone's got their cards just straight on a table, it just kind of looks a little sloppy in my opinion. And I've asked other dealers this opinion too, and they agree. But maybe different for you. You may think that your cards look completely fine on just the table. But I think it looks a lot more professional. Most showcases are around $80 to $150, just depends on how expensive you want to go. I'll leave some in the comments below, but I highly suggest getting a showcase. Number two thing that I would say is bring cash. And in my last video, I said to bring cash in change, and I still would highly suggest that. I would bring 5s, singles, and 10s if possible, 20s too if you plan on breaking down 100. But I suggest bringing cash for a couple reasons. If you don't plan on buying things, that's completely fine. I usually like going to shows just to buy cards, and then I liquidate a lot of my cards online through Instagram, eBay, Facebook, a lot of different avenues. And so I will buy cards at shows when people come up to my table. But the reason I say that you may want to have cash on hand is if you're doing a trade, you may have to add in a little bit of cash, and maybe the person that comes up to you, I usually see the older demographic usually doesn't want to take things like PayPal, Venmo, Zelle. Some people do, some people don't. They want to just deal in cash, and I completely understand that. So I just like to have a little bit of cash on hand that I can use for that if we're doing a trade. Set up those payment plans like PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, just in case someone is like, hey, I don't have cash on me. Can I pay this way? And I know that you will have to put those towards your taxes. You gotta account for that stuff, which it sucks. But if you plan on running this like a business and running this how it should go, then you should be able to take things like that. And some people are buying cards for their business, and some people are buying it for fun. But I just want to emphasize that some people don't walk into a show knowing that they're going to go to that show. Some guys just walk in with, they may be really wealthy, and they don't have cash in their pocket at that time, and they're thinking, I've had guys throw credit cards at me thinking that I could take credit card. So maybe you want to set up a system that you could take credit card like that. But I would highly suggest at least have PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, and then the last one is Cash App, but I don't really get many Cash Apps. Next thing I would say is be transparent with folks. Tell people how you're thinking. Don't really beat around the bush. Yeah, I don't know if I'm feeling that, blah. Tell people how you feel. I know that some people don't like that I do that, but I'd rather be transparent and be like straight up with people and say, hey, this card's doing 100. You've got it stickered at 120. I want to be at $80. And if they're not cool with that, no hard feelings, guys. There's no problem with if we can't get a deal done. He probably doesn't even watch my videos, but one thing that I think about all the time is I didn't do a deal with this guy, Joyner's Cards, on Instagram. First time I ever met with him, and I thought that our relationship was done after that. He was being transparent with me. I was coming with my idea on why I thought this card was worth this much. It was a Conor McGregor Topps Chrome. I was like, I think it's worth more around like the 10-12 range. He was like, I think it's more worth around, I want to say like he was saying the 4 to 6 range, and we were just off on value. And guess what? We've still done deals now today after I thought that, all right, we were both like on completely different sides of the aisle. We still do deals today because I'm transparent with him. He's transparent with me with what he's thinking, and that's completely fine. If you can't get a deal done with someone one time, that doesn't mean that you can't get a deal done with them another time. If you are planning on bringing dollar boxes, which I do bring to my local shows, make it easy for people to understand what the pricing on stuff is. So if you're gonna put like, let's say 6 boxes out, and half the boxes are quarter cards and half the boxes are dollar cards, make it easy for people to understand. So what I do, at least, my quarter cards are unsleeved and they'll all go out unsleeved. My dollar cards are all sleeved, they'll all go out sleeved. So then when I make piles, when people get all their cards together, I'll count out all the sleeved cards, I'll count out all the non-sleeved cards, and then I know, all right, there's 50 25-cent cards, there's $100 cards, this is the price that I could do for you. And it just makes it easier on the person selling and me, because I'm usually dealing at the showcase trying to sell the higher end stuff. And then I've got people just dealing on the dollar quarter cards over there. And it makes it easier on them so they don't have to look at a card and be like, oh, I like that, but I don't know what the price of it is. It may be $2, $3, $4, $5, but I only want to pay $1. So making it easy for people to understand. I know some people disagree with this in the way that like, well, I don't want to reprice all my cards every weekend. And I understand that. I do things a little bit differently in the way that I only do 10-cent, quarter, and dollar cards, and the rest of my stuff usually either hits ComC or eBay, because I just do not like negotiating with people on like $2 to $10 cards. It's just too much of a hassle for me, and I'd rather be super easy and super transparent in the way that I've got my stuff sleeved over here, non-sleeved over here. This is what you're paying. And to build off that, in the way that dollar boxes, or if you're doing showcase prices, if people are offering to buy a lot of stuff, give better bulk pricing. But I'll go back to the part where I was talking about being transparent. Be transparent in the way that, hey, probably not going to do 80% on this $5,000 card. One thing that is super massively important is relationships in sports cards. And that does not mean like I'm getting a girlfriend at a card show. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, meet with someone, do a deal with someone. You never know where that's going to go, in the way that you never know if you're going to make a deal every week with them now. There's people that I do deals with twice a week, 3 times a week, once a month. You never know that one deal that you make at a show, you never know where it's going to go. And another thing that can build off of this, don't ever judge a book by its cover, in the way that that guy that walks up with New Balances and a hole in his shirt and jeans on with a couple holes in them too, there's a good chance, I'm not going to say there's a good chance, but there's a chance that he could have millions and millions of dollars in the bank. So don't judge a book on its cover. Treat every customer the same. If he's wearing a suit or if it's a kid, you never know where they're at in life. You never know what kind of cards they got in their card case. So treat everybody fairly, treat everyone nicely. And I've seen, at least, when you do that, you have a lot more people coming back to you. You have a lot more of those relationships that you do good things with, and they'll refer you to other people, and it just leads to more and more deals in the future. Have some sort of way for people to identify who you are. So if that's like a company name, a business name, and then start to have some sort of way that you could give to people, or people can know, hey, that's where he's at. So I'm on Instagram. My name's Stack and Sell, but I have business cards. I've got a banner. I suggest, I don't have one yet, a table banner. Just some sort of way for people to, when they're at a show, identify that's him, that's Stack and Sell, that's XYZ, so they can identify, I want to go over to his table. I know he's got good deals. I want to go over there. If you are selling cards at the show, do not expect to get market pricing on certain cards. And what do I mean by that? I didn't really emphasize this in my last time that I made this video, but if you're selling, let's say right now it's baseball season, or at least we're going into baseball season, it's March. Baseball, you could sell at pretty much near what the last comp is, or maybe sometimes a little above the last comp. Or let's say I'm in Chicago, so Justin Fields, pretty much every time that I put a Justin Fields at, if I sell it at like 95% of what the last one did, people will pay that on it. But if I'm selling maybe a football card of a guy, a Tua Tagovailoa. We're out of season right now, and two, I'm nowhere near that city right now, so my market isn't as large. So I do not expect to get 95% on that stuff. Sometimes you're getting 70 to 80% because the market in your area may not be for Tua Tagovailoa right now. This is another, I'd say, controversial, not so controversial in my book, but try to rotate inventory. When I go to someone's table, I don't want to see the same cards every single time. I'm sorry. I don't want to go over to your table and see the same 25 cards that you had the last show. Because what's the reason for coming by your table this time? Is it going to be a better price? Maybe. But at the same time, like, I got no reason to come over. So I like to at least try to rotate inventory every single show, every single weekend. So then when you come to my table, if you come to my table this weekend and you come back next weekend, I'm going to have new stuff. So you got some sort of reason to come by. You can have the same cards over and over and over again. That's completely fine. But I've seen that those people usually don't have as much traffic at shows because people know, hey, I know what he had. He has the same cards that he had a month ago today, and he hasn't really moved on price. So why do I have a reason to go over? Next thing that I would highly, highly suggest that I wasn't really open to when I first got back into cards or when I first got back into doing this full time during 2020, and that is be open to trading. I never really understood the whole trading thing at first, got into it mainly in 2021, and when you're at shows and you're setting up, you need to be open to trading because a lot of people, a lot of kids especially, are walking into shows with not much money. And so they've got tons of cards, and that's why they're at that show. And they might want to trade up into something, trade down into something. And if it makes sense for you, then it may make sense for them as well. You never know what someone else is thinking. Trading has completely changed the game for me. You never know what you're going to be able to get. That kid opens up his Zion case. That kid pulls out a shoebox. You never know what's going to be in there, and trading can change things for you. My last and final tip, and this is kind of two things, come with a charged cell phone. Do not, the night before, don't forget to plug in your phone because you're going to have to look up comps on some cards. You're going to have to look up what something goes for if someone wants to make a trade with you. And building off of that, make sure your apps are working. So I know when I was at the National this year, Card Ladder, 130 Point were not working. So figure out, hey, do I got to buy internet at this show? Hey, do I got to do this at that show? Make sure things are working before the show gets started. So then when you get started and someone comes up to your table, you're not frantic and being like, oh, the internet's not working. Hey, I don't know what to do. Just be straight up, hey, the internet's not working right now. I probably wouldn't want to move that card at that price just because I don't know if I'm looking to do that with no internet here. But be straight up, charge your phone. I really do hope that you guys did enjoy this video. I've learned so much over the last couple of years, going to shows a lot more, almost every single weekend. And I just want to bring these tips to you guys. This is not something for my enjoyment. This is just to help people out there that are just looking to get started, or maybe you're just looking for a couple tips to take from this and implement it into your business. Am I no way, shape, or form saying that I've got it all perfected? I don't. I've only been going to shows, setting up at shows for like the last 3 years. So I don't know every trick in the book. There's a lot more better veterans in this that do know a lot more, but a lot of them don't want to get on YouTube and tell you guys what I'm thinking. So if you guys did enjoy this video, I would really, really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more sports card content like this, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.